Hi, I'm Tim Lefebvre with Lefebvre Law. Thanks for joining me. As everyone across the country, and indeed across the globe, knows by now, on July 7th, 2016, a gunman opened fire on police and protesters alike at a Black Lives Matter rally in Dallas, Texas, killing 5 officers. After a tense standoff, the Dallas police used a bomb disposal robot armed with an explosive device to kill the cornered suspect in order to spare the lives of police and civilians alike. This situation is unprecedented, and it raises a host of legal and ethical questions. Lethal force is often used by law enforcement, and there are laws that allow and limit the use of such force. State laws generally provide that in order to use lethal force against a suspect must pose an imminent threat to law enforcement or to innocent third parties. The use of force is further regulated in that it must be both proportional and necessary. Absent an imminent threat and the proportional and necessary requirement, a suspect is entitled to due process through our judicial system. But what happens when police outsource use of deadly force to a robot? Does the method by which the suspect is killed really matter, so long as that suspect posed an imminent threat and the use of force was both proportional and necessary? Well, that's likely going to depend on the circumstances of each case. In Dallas, they were probably within the bounds of the law. But the laws have suddenly become outdated. We are rapidly approaching a new era of drones and policing, and we are going to need to make sure that we carefully tailor our laws in such a way to protect civil liberties and our law enforcement. In this instance, the circumstances were so extraordinary that it's unlikely there were any true due process concerns. Absent taking extreme measures, there no doubt would have been more bloodshed. The real concern to my mind is mission creep. See, police departments routinely adapt new technology to their law enforcement purposes. And if police departments across the country start to use robots or drones beyond their intended purpose of bomb disposal, that is, allowing these machines to have lethal capabilities becomes far more problematic. We already see what occurs when police are disattenuated from the communities they serve. Armed robots would no doubt increase this divide between communities and police, decrease situational awareness, and literally dehumanize the police-civilian interaction. The consequences could be profound. And what about security? Could these killer robots be hacked? If one thing has been repeatedly made clear throughout the last year, it's that our connected world is extremely vulnerable to cyber threats. It is very important that these robots employed by our law enforcement are not used against the police or innocent civilians by bad actors. Looking at the current state of cybersecurity in our nation's institutions, I think this issue takes on a greater sense of urgency as we ponder entering a world of lethally capable machines before we have ensured that they and other critical networks cannot be hacked. This will require more than just a technical solution, but also smart and evolving policy that keeps up with the ever-changing technical landscape. We are no doubt going to see more and more applications of automation and robotics in our policing and indeed in our day-to-day life. We as a society need to have a very serious conversation about the ethics and legality involved in allowing these machines the ability to deal out lethal force, whether fully autonomous or under the remote control of a human. While this particular instance of lethal force by a robot was such an extreme circumstance, we cannot allow the reasonable application of this technology to lull us into thinking these issues do not need to be addressed with great urgency. The longer this conversation is delayed, the more likely we'll be forced to confront the issue after things have taken a frightening turn. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. If you liked it, please subscribe, and I hope to see you again next time.